Hey there guys, this is Greg from NFG Customs, and tonight I want to show you guys one of the new Inception Trident bolts and kind of show you the difference between the original, well not the original one, but the open face bolt, which is like the, I guess like the version 2 Inception bolt, and the new Trident bolt. So basically, Simon went ahead and released a new bolt this week, and it's not a huge departure from the other bolt that they've been using for the past I don't know, 12 to 18 months or whatever. But there's definitely some changes and definitely some things worth kind of talking about and understanding, right? So a little disclaimer here, I haven't had a chance to test it out. I haven't had a chance to shoot it yet. I actually first got my hands on it today. It actually showed up on Friday, but I was out of town. So let's get to it, I guess, right? I mean, why banter about, right? All right, so I think we'll begin, and we will talk about the original. So let's get to it. All right, so here we have the original Inception bolt here. Well, not the original, the version 2, the open face. And this is actually a really good bolt. We've had great success with it. It works. I mean, it works really well. It's consistent, shoots nice. No complaints with it. What's up, Rodney? How you doing, man? So, if you kind of look here, it's got, 3 O-rings, and kind of the standard thing here is that you have 2 softer O-rings back here that kind of that cover the area that basically enclose the air release, right? So when the air comes out of the valve, it gets dumped into this hole and then comes out the front of the bolt, right? And then on the front here, there's a harder 90 durometer. So these are 70 durometer, which is a measure of hardness for those of you who aren't familiar. And then here on the front, you have a harder 90 durometer O-ring. And this kind of helps to prevent blowback. I think that's pretty much the primary reason for it, is really for blowback. The Inception bolt also features these grooves cut in for your ball detents, so you're not completely destroying your ball detents. They're on both sides, and they're wide enough that they're going to work with wire detents and the traditional, the older style plunger style ball detents with the metal or nylon ball. So the other cool thing about the bolts that I like are this little groove on the top that says, hey, the bolt's up the right way. So this little notch should always be pointing up. I mean, if you actually want your gun to work anyway. If you don't want your gun to work, just turn this upside down, and it saves you a lot of money in tech services later on when you do want your gun to work. So, and then there's also a hole here for, for adjusting your timing on your hammer. So let's take a look inside of this gorgeous green flea premium I have, or not flea premium, ripper premium I have here. This thing is so gorgeous. I really don't, I don't want to sell this, but I really need to. But let's go ahead and take a look at the new bolt. So right off the bat, you compare them side by side. I mean, they look pretty much about the same. They're the same, same length, but there is quite a bit. There's quite a bit of a design difference in the head. So I don't know if you can kind of see this here. Oh, let me roll it around here. Wow, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be to hold 2 bolts at the same time like this. So if you look, there's quite a few differences in the design of the head. So let's dive into some of those differences on the new bolt, since we just talked about the old one. So the most apparent thing, and kind of the namesake, is the fact that it has these these 3 air ports here. So I get, so the kind of the idea of you know, it's kind of almost a semi Venturi kind of bolt style, and this is kind of a throwback to the old days, when basically what they were trying to achieve was an even burst of air, on as even a burst of air on the ball as you could. So they drilled little holes inside of each, inside of the around the edge of the bolt. The center was was still usually solid in most cases, and the idea was the air would come out of all those holes, and you would get a nice even shove on the ball when you shoot it. So this has that same kind of idea where you have, but instead of having multiple holes all around, you have 3 separate holes here. And then you compare that to the original bolt where it's just one big open face. There's no division of that air into 3 individual bursts. The other thing that's really, really noticeable about that is if you look here, the port, so the air port where the air comes in from the valve is huge. This is a lot bigger than on the original bolt. So if you look there, it's like you have a little hole, and here you have a much, much larger hole. And kind of the idea there is that so as much as we like to say, that as much as we'd like to think that all autococker bodies are made to the same spec, the reality is that's not always the truth. There is slight differences from time to time in bodies where the holes can be slightly off center, slightly forward, slightly back. I saw one a few weeks ago where it was just kind of like, it was just a little off to the left. And while it may be a very, very slight difference, it's enough to make your bolt not really work right, because you're trying to line up this hole with a hole that's probably the same size or a little bit smaller than the hole in your bolt, so it has to be almost perfect. So that's why on a lot of bolts you'll sometimes see this hole is like elongated. That's kind of meant to kind of allow you to kind of make up that difference. So this has a really, really big hole for the air to get into the bolt chamber. Now, the one thing I did notice that was kind of missing here, and is that, well, not missing, but it's different. So I don't want to lead you to believe that something was omitted by mistake or anything like that. But if you look here, the hole on this bolt is at an angle, right? So it's it goes in this way at that at that whatever that angle is. I guess it's I don't know. It's at an angle with the idea that the air is going to come up and it's going to shove that air out that way. So whereas this the bolt's pretty flat in there, and so these holes go all the way back in. They go all the way back to here. So these holes they start all the way back here. So I guess kind of the idea is, it's going to, the air is going to dump into this chamber, and then, once it achieves a certain pressure or something like that, then it's going to kind of get forced out the front, right? Now it's going to happen so fast, it's not really going to make a big deal, but I have a feeling that the size and shape of this air hole is a direct result of having these 3 holes here, so that you can make sure that you're getting an equal burst of gas from each one of the 3 holes. So the other thing I noticed on this bolt is that if you look at the original one here, it has this kind of recessed band going around the bolt at this kind of at this part. I'm not entirely sure really what that's for. I mean, maybe it's kind of reduced drag or reduced weight or something like that. I've never really kind of put that much thought into it, but I just noticed it's not there. So I feel kind of stupid saying I'm not exactly sure why it's there, but that's the truth. So yeah, but that's also not there. I'm not sure what the function was really, but hey. So that's missing. I also noticed that these channels are a little bit, they're not as wide as they were on the original bolt, and that's fine. Like, these are still plenty wide to support the Ego style detents on retro guns, or if you're going to use a wire detent, or if you have a traditional ball detent, these are still going to work just fine. The bolt does retain the timing hole. And it also has the 3 O-ring design. And again, these are going to be, a 70, 70 durometer, 70 durometer, and then a 90 durometer on the front. And this with the primary idea that this front O-ring is going to help to reduce blowback. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure about the performance of the bolt versus the original one, but I do like this larger hole. This is definitely a really good idea, because now you can use these bolts on, this can be kind of a fix-all bolt, because it's one of those things where when you work in as a cocker tech, you see a lot of these guns where you just can't get them to work right. Something's off, right? And more often than not, it's the bolt hole not lining up with the bolt, or the bolt hole not lining up with the hole in the gun for the valve. So this is going to fix a lot of those issues, and it's going to be a real easy fix too. It's going to be, oh hey, just drop this bolt in and everything should work just fine, because it's going to cover any side-to-side variance, and it's going to cover any front-to-back variance. Now, I have seen a few of these style, the open face bolts, that do have a bit wider of a hole on them, and I think these were kind of Simon was kind of trying some different ideas out just to see kind of what's going to work and what's not going to work. So I am very curious to actually get this thing, use one of these guys and shoot some paint and see exactly how it performs. But I mean, I do know Simon, and he's not going to release something that's going to give you less performance than what you had. So I'm going to definitely make the assumption that this is going to have equal performance to the original bolt, but knowing Simon is that I would assume that he has this figured out to where you're going to get some superior performance. Maybe there's an efficiency gain here. Maybe there's some sort of a velocity, a velocity gain there. So the proof will be when I actually get to try it out and see how things are going to go. So kind of my plan for the test is I'm going to take one of my rippers, probably not these ones because these are brand new and for sale, but I'll use one of my personal retro guns. Maybe I'll use this super sexy Black Predator. Oh yeah, so hot. So maybe I'll use that for the test and just try and I'll try it with this bolt, and then I'll just get it chronoed to a certain velocity, and then I'll try it with this bolt, and I'll try and get some basic basic level of efficiency numbers, and maybe I'll put like 200 balls through and see how many psi it uses or something like that. I don't know. I haven't really put that much thought into it. So these look really sweet. And I do have these, though. I have a couple of these on order, so I should see them in the next couple days. This was kind of a surprise. I ordered a bunch of guns last week, and this beauty showed up in those guns. So I'm pretty happy about that, because I always love seeing new products and new stuff coming out. So yeah. Now that being said, I don't think that there's nothing wrong with his bolt. The V2 bolt is really a good bolt. I run it in all my retro guns, so it's definitely a nice bolt. So but I am curious as to you know, how the, you know, what the advantages are, and what this, in particular, what this face is going to do. I do like, the other feature that I like about this is that I know that there has been a bit of a trend here and there. I don't know if a trend's the right word, but some guys that are making bolts have been making the bolt faces more flat. This actually has a pretty deep cup to it, and you know, just by like rubbing my finger in there and kind of looking at it, it definitely feels like, you know, this is really meant to kind of, you know, it's going to cup the ball, and it's going to cup it perfectly so that you get, you know, as good of a seal between the paint and the front of the bolt as you can. So when you shoot it, you know, you're going to get that, you know, even amount of discharge across the face of the bolt that you want to propel the ball. So, you know, ultimately with all this bolt technology and all the things that people do with bolts, ultimately there's, you know, a couple of goals you're trying to achieve. You're trying to minimize the quote unquote the water balloon effect. So if you look at a paintball when it's shot through a barrel in slow motion, it looks like, you know, it looks like a water balloon. It's all like squishy, especially, you know, like when it leaves the barrel, you can kind of see it's like flexing all over the place and looking all goofy looking, just like a water balloon. And then once it gets to a certain point, it regains its shape. So basically, you know, it absorbs the initial shock of the burst of air, which is going to distort it. And then once that initial shock kind of dissipates, the ball regains its shape. And kind of the goal to, you know, increase, you know, accuracy, reduce breakage, all that kind of stuff, is that if you can disperse the air evenly over the ball, you're going to reduce the amount of shock on the ball, and it's going to distort less. And then, and then kind of the idea is that translates to a higher degree of accuracy on the receiving end. Now, the reality with that is, there's a lot of other stuff that goes into play with that, that doesn't really, there's a lot of other factors that go into the accuracy of a paintball, such as, you know, what's the fill like, what's the shell like, what's, you know, what are the conditions for the day? Is it humid? Is it dry? So all these little environmental factors you also kind of have to factor in. But when you're designing products, you know, you're trying to think about, well, you know, what's the most, you know, what's the average there, and let's try and design things to the average so that we can make stuff to perform in as many conditions as possible. So yeah, so I'm definitely excited to try this out. It's new, it's different, and I'm really just excited about it because I can think of, like, you know, 3 or 4 guys I can call and be like, yo, pick up this bolt and your problems are solved. So that is pretty awesome. So, that's kind of the rundown on the new Inception bolt so far. I will get this, I will try to get this, you know, get this thing and try it out with some paint in the next couple days, and you know, let you know what's going on with it. But it looks pretty sweet. I'm excited. You know, I'm easily excited though. I mean, I get excited over, you know, sticks of Delrin. So anyway, so you guys have any questions? Anything you guys want to talk about? I got a little time here. This wasn't intended to be a long video, but hey, what's up? Will Arroyo joined us from Ground Zero Gold. The man, the myth, the legend. Welcome, Will. Good to see you, buddy. So who's got some questions? Come on, there's Tenny out there. Anybody? Yes, there is a half block version. I have one of those on the way. They should be coming with the rest of my orders. So I have one. I want to test again. You know, I want to test it out and see how it is. But you know, I am pretty certain that there's going to be I have a feeling there's going to be a performance increase. You know, whether it's efficiency or accuracy or whatever. I mean, Simon does a really good job taking things and kind of improving upon them. So I'm curious and excited to see what this nets. Oh, one other feature I did want to show you guys on these bolts. We'll just tilt this back down here. So if you look at these, and this might be kind of hard to see, but there's a little cut here or not a cut, but like like a little, it's called a chamfer, right? So basically they take it where instead of it's like, you know, squared off, it's like kind of cut down. So it's a little bit, you know, flatter there and it's not as round. And basically the idea there is that it's a less, you know, it's a less harsh edge that's going to hit the paintball that's next on top of the stack. So when this ball is forward, if you're using smaller paint, which we're seeing more and more of nowadays, if this is a flatter surface on the front, you run the risk of pinching that ball and breaking it. Whereas if you have a little bit of a wedge there, you're going to be able to get under that next ball in the stack and lift it up. And this is actually an issue that, you know, it really wasn't a huge issue with gravity feed so much. Because, you know, the ball was falling and you kind of had some time for that bolt to come forward where, you know, pinching a ball wasn't as easy. But now you do it now where we have, you know, force feed loaders and everything. It is something that you need to think about. So, but yeah, that little divot there is really kind of meant to help you reduce chopping. And that's on the V2 bolt as well. It's a little bit more pronounced on the V2 bolt as opposed to the Trident bolt that I have here. But it's still there, so that's a good thing. That's a really good feature to have in a bolt. So, all right, you have a Hornet pump and it sounds like it's farting out the barrel. Any hints I could try? If you could kind of elaborate on that a little bit more. Is it, I mean, are you having any kind of velocity issues, anything like that? Or is it just when you shoot it, it just sounds like it farts? Yeah, Phil, actually the half block bolt I have coming in is going straight to you. So you're getting one of the first. So that'll be exciting. You'll be able to throw that bad boy in your half block and go to town. So hopefully John's typing away over there. So Will, how's the gold one working for you? Did you get a chance to shoot it yet? All right, Wes. Yeah, just do me a favor, shoot me a PM quick, and I'll make sure I get one added to the list for you. Not a problem at all. I'm probably just gonna end up buying like 8 or 10 of them, just so I have them in stock and ready to go. So. But yeah, just shoot me a message and we'll get it taken care of. John Schaefer, you typing out there? So does anybody else have any questions? Anything you want to talk about while we wait for John? I know you guys just like sitting there looking at my beautiful face. Yeah, it's funny. All right, well, John, if you want to, do me a favor and shoot me a private message, and I'll help you out with your Hornet. Could be a couple of different things, but we'll figure it out. I have a bunch of questions to ask you, and then hopefully we can figure it out. I'm sure it's not a real big deal. Probably just a pressure issue or maybe a spring thing, but most likely a pressure thing. Nice. I'm glad you like it, man. Now go mug some people with it. I can't wait to see you guys doing your thing with those guns. It's gonna be great. Nick, at this point, it's speculation. I honestly don't know if there's going to be an increase or a decrease in efficiency over the V2 bolt. That I don't know. I haven't tested the two side by side. That is something that you know, it's on the agenda, the long list of stuff I need to get done. But you know, one thing I can say is that you know, Simon's not a guy who's going to, he doesn't release parts for the sake of releasing stuff. You know, he's not going to redesign his bolt and, you know, redo everything that he needs to redo unless if there's some, you know, some improvement, you know, some reason to do it. It just doesn't make sense. You know, why spend the time, money, and effort to retool and redesign and do what you need to do to you know, to make bolts. And this is a more complex design. So I'm going to think that it's going to be, I would like to think that, you know, there's definitely some sort of a performance improvement. So, but with anything, you know, the kind of the tough part, you know, when you're talking about bolts is that, you know, every gun is different and a bolt is it's one piece of the entire equation. And I think that, you know, with the improvements I see, it's going to be able to be used in a lot more guns. You know, because it has this really nice big hole here. So you know, it's really kind of hard to say. It's, you know, can you see an efficiency increase? Well, yeah, but you know, against what? Are you talking against a, you know, a stock bolt, another V2 bolt, or what? You know, it's really kind of a tough subject to kind of you know, really kind of get into, because you know, guns work at different pressures and there's just all kinds of different factors that you really need to take into account. Now, what I will do is I'm going to take this gorgeous black Predator here, and I'm going to put the V2 bolt in here, and I'm going to shoot it, and I'm going to chrono it to, well, it should be chronoed to right around 280. So I'm going to chrono it, and I'm going to shoot 200 rounds through it, and I'm going to say, okay, well, that used this much air. Then I'm going to take that bolt out. I'm going to put this bolt in, and I'm going to see, you know, is there a velocity increase or a velocity decrease? Did I use less air? Did I use more air? So, you know, so that's kind of my plan there. So I do want to kind of, you know, do some preliminary testing. There you go, Wes. This is just for you. So I do plan to do a little bit of testing, just to kind of, you know, get an idea of what you know, of what the thing is, and you know, and why. One of the things I just like to do, just by nature, just figure out why. You know, why are things made this perfect way? So. Yeah, Nick, just you know, just stay tuned here to the you know, to our little boot camp group here, and I'll probably, you know, talk about it in another video once I get a chance to do it. So, Rodney, the price point of the new bolt. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's right around the same price as the old one, which I think was $70. I think. I don't know. I have to look. I honestly didn't. I was on the site and I was reading about it, but I didn't even think to look at the price. But I'm sure it's probably comparable in price to the original bolt. But yeah, so I'm excited about it. It's definitely going to be. It's definitely cool. So I guess John is going to shoot me a PM because I'm running out of stuff to say. I can show you guys. I can show off this beautiful green. There we go, $69.99, so $70. So, ooh. So Anthony says, I'm curious as to your thoughts on the Adrenaline CVO frame rate of fire and the possible restrictions going into ICC and ICPL. So I haven't really been able to follow the Adrenaline stuff as closely as I'd like to. I do try and keep abreast of of stuff like that that's kind of going on, but basically, you know, there have been concerns about the shocker being the fact that it can just shoot so fast. You know, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, you know, the idea of, you know, going back to classic paintball was to kind of slow things down and get away from that, you know, that NXL idea where you're just, you know, dumping paint and make it more, just, you know, more like it was, you know, where it was, you know, just, you know, you know, guns weren't shooting as fast. You had a lot more opportunities to, you know, to run around and move and do stuff. It's a little bit, you know, I don't want to say it's less expensive, but, you know, you're not shooting as much paint, that kind of thing. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure. I know that they've been, I know that there's been concerns from the get-go with the shocker. So, the shocker CVO platform about it being able to shoot too fast. And from what I heard, I haven't, and this did not come from Adrenaline or anything else, is that they're able to achieve a pretty high rate of fire using the bounce of the trigger, basically similar. I don't want to say similar to an RT, but, you know, kind of like an RT where you get a couple extra shots when you pull the trigger if you hold it a certain way. And if that's the case, that will be disallowed according to the ICC rules for sure, because, you know, they clearly state, you know, it's one ball pull trigger, you know, per trigger pull, and the rules explicitly kind of call out any kind of trigger bounce or auto response or anything like that. So, I don't know, a Revy only restriction, that could be a solution to that problem. But again, I don't know. It's really kind of hard to say exactly, you know, exactly what's going to happen with that, because they haven't really officially released their stuff yet. No, they're not out in the wild. Nobody has their hands on them. They're kind of showing off cool stuff. And, you know, I don't know, it's just kind of, I think it's a little bit too early to even really, you know, we can sit around and speculate, but until we have these things in people's hands, it's, you know, really kind of hard to say one way or the other, you know, what's what and how things are going to work out. So, yeah, I agree, Jason. Definitely cockers or bust. I don't know I don't know about the Trident. If it looks like a shock tech bolt, you mean like the front or the porting, or what do you mean? I know the bolt that I got in my SFL that came, you know, a couple months ago, that was just like a regular old, you know, it was just an open face bolt. I don't know. Did they, like, is their bolt like a 3-hole in the front? I don't know. Yeah, the latest shock tech bolt I saw was just an open face, you know, just like a open face one like the old days. So I don't know, but I don't know, man. Missed the opening volley. You didn't really miss much of anything. We were just kind of talking about the differences between the new Inception bolt and the old Inception bolt, and then we were talking a little bit about, we were talking about Anthony D'Ambrosio, our buddy T2 up at Twister Central up at Boston Paintball. He was he was talking a little bit about the CVO and the Adrenaline CVO in particular, where I guess they have a new frame coming out that's going to be shooting wicked fast, and everybody's kind of all up in arms about it. I mean, I think it's great those guys are coming back and they're taking the Shocker platform, which it really seems like it's a platform that it seems like it's a decent enough platform. I've shot them. I don't really like them, but I mean, it's just I just don't like. I don't know. I just didn't like how it shot. I had a Shocker RSX, and I didn't care for that too much. I preferred, like, if I'm going to use an Electro, I preferred using my Lux at the time. But I just don't. I don't know. But I'm definitely curious to see what they do. You know, it's always neat to see that. Dude, I agree, man. I think that. I think you know, if you're gonna play the ICPL or ICC, just use a cocker and be done with it. You know, there's so much you can do with them, but you know, different strokes for different folks. You know, a lot of guys like to, you know, they like their what they claim is, you know, their rock solid stuff. But I mean, you know what? I'll take a. You know, I put, you know, a cocker that you set up or I set up against, you know, any of those guns. And I bet we would come out on top. So, so for those of you guys that don't know, we have Jason Annell here, who is, he owns Angry Annell's Auto Cockers, and he does all kinds of cool stuff. We've done a lot of, we do a lot of, what's the word? Collaboration. We do a lot of collaborations with Mr. Annell, and he actually did an absolutely beautiful autococker for me that I still need to get off to anodizing. But when I do get it back, we're gonna do a build video, and we're gonna build that sucker, and it's gonna be awesome. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So I know you're just here to stir the pot. I'm used to it. But it's always nice to see you, man. Hopefully we'll be running into you somewhere this year. It's been too long since I've seen you face to face. I'm scrolling too. So, all right. So Rob Odell said, if you have a moment, can you talk a little bit about cockers making farting type noises, causes, cures, input, and reg pressure? Is it heavier, lighter, hammer, or better? Maybe spring combos. So, Rob, so farting noises kind of come, essentially you get a farting noise when you get, basically when the valve kind of bounces, right? So, you know, basic cocker principle, you have a valve, it's closed, and the hammer is pushed forward, hits the valve stem, and it pushes the valve open, and then the spring and force of the air is going to close that valve. Now, if you don't have enough spring, so basically if you don't have enough pressure between, you know, either spring pressure, air pressure, or both, sometimes that valve is going to kind of, you know, it's going to vibrate a little bit. It's going to bounce, so it's going to hit and, you know, kind of bounce a little bit. So if you're getting a farting noise and you don't like it, then you can try increasing the pressure a little bit, or probably a better solution is to replace the valve spring with something a little bit heavier, or you can try putting in a bit lighter of a hammer spring. Now the downside to that is as soon as you go in and you start changing springs out and you're changing pressures, you're also going to be affecting the performance of the gun. So when you get in there and you start messing with that, you're talking about efficiency, you're talking about consistency, all those things. And to be perfectly honest, a farting noise does not necessarily translate to poor performance. I've had an Empire Ripper sniper that I used for years, and that thing was just so fun to shoot, and that thing, you know, it farted all the time, but I mean, it was great. It was rock solid, consistent. It shot great. It was super smooth. So it's, you know, unless if there's some other kind of thing that you're trying to troubleshoot, then, you know, just a farting noise is not really a bad thing. it does, I mean, it does point to, you know, maybe the spring balancing isn't so good or the pressure could be a little higher. But, you know, if you're consistent and you're getting decent efficiency and the gun shoots nice, there's really not much, you know, there's really not much you really need to dive into there. I mean, that's in my opinion. You know, now if that's something, you know, you really wanted to invest some time in and you wanted to do it, then I would say, well, the first thing I would do is I would try running at a higher pressure. And then, you know, if that alleviates the issue and you're still able to reach the velocity that you want to reach, then you're good to go. But there's a lot of things that when you start talking about getting into the lower tube and the pressures, there's a lot of things you need to consider. You know, springing, what kind of valve you have, how heavy is your hammer, what are the weightier springs, you know, what all do you have going on there? Does it have a cocking rod? Does it not have a cocking rod? Which, you know, a cocking rod adds weight to the hammer. So just food for thought. So there's a lot of little things you need to kind of consider there. So somebody else had or some other thing here. The 170M is going to be a great CVO competitor. I do agree. I think it's cool that we're starting to see some more entries into, you know, into the mechanical gun realm. Now, I mean, I'm not, again, you know, I'm not really, I haven't been a fan of any of the space mechs that I've shot. I had a G mech for a while, and I mean, it was okay. It was, you know, it shot paint, but I didn't really care for the trigger. There was a lot of things that I would have liked to have improved on it, but I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. It's, you know, how much am I going to put in? How much time and effort do I need to put into this thing to make it shoot the way I want? Or I can just pick up an autococker that is going to shoot exactly how I want. But it's, you know, you're talking to somebody, I've been shooting autocockers for 25 years. So no matter what, everything that I do is going to be compared to shooting an autococker. So, so that's that. All right. I'm just scrolling through here, seeing if we have any other questions. Yeah, Mr. Goins. Yes, these rippers are beautiful, and they do shoot really, really nice. Mr. Eric Goins from Evil Gerbil Paintball. We got a whole bunch of celebrities on today. We got Will Arroyo. We got T2 from Boston. We got Eric from Evil Gerbil. Man, I must be getting a reputation here or something. Yeah, Eric actually got to use my own personal ripper at the 7-Man Masters, and he was out there mugging people with it. It was great. So yeah, this isn't mine. This is actually this is one of the new production ones. The one I have is actually a pre-production. It's actually Retro Ripper number 2. The first, and you can tell the difference because mine doesn't have the matched frame. It has a gloss black frame on it, but it's pretty cool knowing it's the only green one that's going to have that, you know, that configuration from the factory. That, and I mean, it shoots. I love that gun. It shoots so good. It really does. Most of my other guns kind of shoot like crap because, like, I put them together and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, well, I got to get this done and this done for this guy, and I throw them in the case, and then I never touch them again until it's like, oh, man, I'm going to go play Sunday. I guess I need to work on these guns, and I'll get them out, and I'll, like, you know, get them to the point where they shoot enough, and then it's just, I never have time to work on my own stuff because I'm fixing everybody else's stuff, so kind of sucks. You know, it's like you ever have like a contractor friend, you know, a carpenter friend, or like you know, somebody that does plumbing or whatever. Like, that shit in their house is like never. It always sucks, you know, because they just never have time for it. Like my computers, you know, like I'm a computer guy as my day job, and you know, my home computers are just the worst. You know, I don't they're always out of date, and the virus, need virus updates and everything else. So yeah, it's just kind of funny how that works. Well, Eric, the Ripper is actually not the crap gun. The ones that need work are my two Predators. Those two. Well, actually, the Green Predator is pretty right on, because I built that, and then that's the first one that got the super short trigger job. That actually has a prototype plate in it, and that gun is just disgusting. But yeah, the Ripper actually shoots pretty good. When I first got it, when I used it in December, it really didn't shoot that great, because it had some issues I need to work out. But over the course of the past couple months, I've been able to get them worked out. Find a little time here and there to fix this issue and that issue. So, but yeah, man, you need to give me a call, man. We need to get you into an autococker. Wahahaha. Really? You like the Spire with it? I just can't get into using a Spire on an autococker. I just can't. Every time I get down to one layer of balls, they I start chopping balls, and I don't know why. I don't know. The rotor, I slap it on and it goes. I don't know. I just never had any problems with it. But the Spire works great on my. It's worked great on any electrodes I've used. So I don't know. Not sure. Well, yeah, dude, you do need one. You definitely need one. Because then you can be one of the cool kids. Then you can start being, acting all old school and be like, oh yeah, I shoot an autococker. I'm old as shit. Because that's basically what we do. It's just we brag about how long we've been playing the game and all that kind of shit. Just basically dating ourselves, talking about how heavy our guns were back in the day. All right, well, we can talk. I've got some really nice ones in stock right now, and there's some really, really good deals on. So Inception has some the limited color Predators. They have blue right now, which is a really, really cool matte blue color. And then they also have a pink one, which I do have one of the pink ones here. You guys want to take a look at a pink one? Stretch. Got to reach all the way across the table. I haven't even gotten a chance to look at this pink one myself, so I'm pretty curious to see how it works. Or not works, but how it looks. Ooh. Ooh. I don't even like pink, and this looks really nice. I'm a little excited here. I'll do the unveiling here. Oh wow, look at that. That's really nice. I didn't get a chance to go through this one yet because they just showed up. Well, they showed up the other day, and I had to get my neighbor to grab the box for me. So, yeah, check that out. And it's like it's not like a really loud, disgusting pink, which usually pink guns are like. In my experience, they're almost like this, kind of punchy in the face pink color. But this is actually really, really nice. And I like how they did like a black, kind of like a dual color, like a black and pink on the ASA. That's really sharp. I would actually use this, I think. This is nice. And so these guys also come with a full matching barrel kit, which is always nice. So you get 4 backs and 2 fronts on there. So that's nice. And you know, if you guys are thinking about getting a gun and you're looking for a Predator, then now's the time to get them, because this is the end of the run. These last few colors are going to be the end. So that'll be the final 300 bodies, or the last group of the 300 bodies. So, and you know, they're a good deal. So for, you know, 1250 bucks, you get, you know, the gun with all the V2 parts, you know, the V2 pneumatics, the V2 reg, the flea frame, all that good stuff, and you get the full barrel kit and the case and all the other stuff. So it's really a good deal. So I definitely encourage you guys, if you're thinking about them, get one before they're gone, because they're great shooters and it's a really good deal, especially, you know, with the, you know, the rippers and the fleas. Those are considerably more expensive of a gun. And, you know, you still get a really custom look, and it's, you know, I mean, it's a Predator, you know, I mean, it's one of, you know, the most coveted kind of, or not coveted, but one of the most historic, you know, one of the most historic names in paintball. So it's really kind of a cool thing to have. You know, kind of like this black Predator, Wes, this black one. So it's nice to have, it's definitely cool to get a lot of that rare stuff like that and have it, especially when it's something you can use. You know, I'm not a fan of wall hangers. I use all of my guns, so yeah, everything gets used, so I don't really have any wall hangers, and all of my Predators get used, except that black one. I haven't got to use that one yet, but I've been using my Ripper a lot because I really, really like that one. So Pepto Pump Predator. It's actually not Pepto Pink. Like, that's what I thought when I saw the pictures on the website. And this is actually, if you've ever seen the Yeti, or maybe it's the Arctic, Yeti or Arctic, one of those. They make like a pinkish, it's like a metallic pinkish color, but it's like, it's not like pink, if that makes any kind of sense at all. It just really sounds stupid now that it came out of my mouth. But it's kind of an off pink color, and it's very metallic. It almost has kind of that look to it. I think they call it like mermaid color or something like that, but it almost has like that kind of color to it. It's a really cool shade of pink. So it's really not like that, you know, that Pepto Pink like it kind of looked like on the pictures. So really pretty cool. It's a nice color. So, all right, guys. Well, if anybody, any other questions or anything else anybody wants to talk about quick, let's get to it. If not, I would very much like to call it a night. It's been a long day. Work kind of sucked today. So I'm going to put this bolt back in here before I forget, because I've done that already. I'll like do something, I'll take the bolt out of one of these guns and I'll show up at the field. Oh, I don't have a bolt, which that always sucks. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. As always, thanks for joining. It's always a pleasure to have you guys. You know, Will, T2, John, TJ, everybody, Jason, you know, everybody, thanks for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great night.